Jason's finally here, and I'm lucky enough to get him as the first killer. I honestly didn't really know what to expect though. Probably should have known what to expect though. Define eye candy. Anyone? Okay. Mist still existed, and since he can't immediately go back into frame near someone who is on hook to prevent camping, and millions of anti-camp creatures. His projectile is essentially javelin spears. Before you ask, they do have the opportunity to land orbitals. I want to say something about object permanence. I'm not in danger. I don't think I like this. This is the only... Well, crouched, he can't really see you. There is a specific sound where you can determine where Jason is coming from when he leaves his omnipresent evil thing. Also, mini Moris. Both of them revolve around the survivor being impaled. That actually felt like a horror film. Probably the most use anyone has gotten from the locker. And it's short-lived. He's really on this like a Komodo dragon. Probably dead here. He knows who I am, so subtlety is useless. Removing the spear slows you down to a crawl. It's also probably not the best idea, since that's preventing major blood loss. The thing wedged inside of you.
Enough is enough. Why are you moping around? You can't start a stream and act like a baby. Why the hell aren't you saying anything?
This may or may not be cringe on my part, but throughout the other day, you know, when I played the entirety of Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 in half an hour, I may or may not have undergone something that resulted in me going through all 5 stages of grief in the matter of one afternoon. It sounds very cringe on my part, but that's unironically something that happened. And realistically, I could have just said that and gone on with my life with the stream. However, everything happens for a reason. Fuck me.
Company out here.
If I were to continue, I would not mention anyone by name. If I were to recount everything, it would all be confidential, if that term even applies here. And I'm trying to have character development. Essentially, I'm gonna present to you a canon event, sort of. When we were older children, young teens, however you want to word it, we would naturally, probably already tell I'm going with this, since I'm basically describing puberty word for word, we would be curious. When us boys specifically were younger, there were absolutely a few manic thoughts surrounding pretty much exclusively women, girls. The latter would be the more popular term. Essentially, us kids discovered what a hormone was, or hormones and enzymes, that sort of deal, and well, in my case specifically, even prior to that, I recognized that for a lot of the stuff that I involved my shit in, which was made-up stories I made about me and OCs, which can easily be described as schizophrenic-induced fictional characters. Especially if you treated them like real people that you can quote. Real people. There you go. I still kind of do that today. I've noticed that most of my fictional work, stories, a lot of them were usually based on the types of media I consumed around the time or were made aware of. And for some of the pre-established stories or some YouTube videos, especially YouTube videos, I would casually take the entire story that one video conveyed and then retell it. 90% of the characters were female, and the others that weren't were most likely just me. Yes, I would represent 10%. Make of that joke what you will. But the reality is, one can infer I was a horny bastard. Still am. Wouldn't even call that an insult. And naturally, as one gets older, things would get only get much worse. Thought I could puke that. And thus begins the dark descent. Not dark deception. You, me, if you have a penis, and many others, specifically men, because as we all know, men are basically more irresponsible than women, who basically have built-in self-care. They come pre-packaged with knowing how to take better care of themselves. It may be because of a radicalized beauty standard, or whatever. The reason doesn't really take away from the fact that they're more responsible than us male Homo sapiens. And as you grew older, and we later realized that we should probably know the difference between a hormone and an enzyme, we quickly discover what a neuron activation is, which is basically, as it's been primarily used for in memes, oh, he's horny all of a sudden. That is effectively what it's solely used for at this point. And for my case, it was pretty bad. Actually, now that I think about it, if I'm really going to reveal everything, the full behind-the-scenes Smelkyle, I feel like I probably could have done it in a better way. Something that isn't as trivial as a Dead by Daylight stream. A regular one at that. These are a lot of words just to say nothing, and it's simply because I feel like you probably already know what I'm going to say. The subject matter is not something I feel like I would confidently post on the internet. And me and many other boys around my time, as per usual with puberty, we would take a mild interest in pornography, mainly out of curiosity, since that is the iconic buzzword when it comes to puberty. Nowadays, that shit is actively forced into our faces. On any and all, I was gonna say Facebook or Twitter, but realistically, anything and everything you encounter on the internet is just lewd. 90% of the internet is sex, and that has been a proven fact since pretty much forever. Not even a controversial take. Unless you're Jay Kaiser or something. I tried to bypass my way into adult content. I said it. Everything and anything I did was most likely to trick my mom into letting me view shit that I realistically shouldn't. She was aware that I could, but didn't really have a clear idea of what kind of shit I would use that for, specifically. So, traditional porn doesn't do it for me. Realistically, that also applies to anyone with any kind of fetish, regardless of what it is. I probably made some jokes about it in the past, but I'm just gonna go out and push out my chest and just come out and say that I like Bob. I don't really think that is completely controversial. I have never actively done anything, for the most part, that would be significantly too raunchy. And even now, although yes, I am a pretty advanced masturbator, I am discreet. Whatever the hell that means. But essentially, I know how to hide that shit. I know how to keep it away from the public eye. And again, this would really be something that would be conveyed better in its own video, rather than just an entire Twitch stream, where it's entirely possible that I'll have to remake the video in its respective style again, because no one really watches this, and if they did, they would probably just skim over this and focus solely on the gameplay. You need your stimulation via Dustin Henderson from Stranger Things being brutally murdered by Jason Voorhees. I committed pretty much every sin regarding lust at a relatively young age, almost exclusively on YouTube, because my goofy ass had to rely on Mom's device. which meant recent searches. Anyway, to your special Mori, that's actually pretty uncommon. And I committed every mortal sin of the lust variety when I was like, I don't know, 12 years old. Not even 13, so not even an official teenager. But this is very important to the story. It was basically something I would regularly do. I did not discover the art of masturbation at the time, so I really was just there to look. Window shopping. If I still had that kind of mentality, if there was a universe where I never discovered masturbation, I would probably be the strip club equivalent of a law-abiding citizen because of the iconic look, don't touch rule. But let's just have V for her Survivor lobby theme. If this is really about me trauma dumping, then I might as well have it with music that would be somewhat appropriate. For the longest time, I want to say a year and a half, I was just casually going through vor art, fat girl art, shit like that, mainly, and this ultimately ended up in me finding various artists of the trade, that most of them I still follow today, simply because they have good shit. Really good, high-quality stuff. And AI wasn't really a thing around that time, so everything I was getting was genuine. And autism dictates that, oh, these are cool characters made entirely for fetishistic purposes. What if I tried to pull them into my fictional universe, but tone down the fetish stuff? I absolutely probably missed the mark on who those people were supposed to be outside of that fetishistic context. But the reality is, this is what I did. This is what I still do today. Again, no one will be dead named. And that was pretty much how my imagination was satisfied. And I would even roleplay these kinds of things using some blankets and some pillows. Though I am missing a very, very important lore scenario. Either through some kind of desensitization or wanting something different, the fetishistic content that I would frequently watch just faded out of my regular rotation. And instead I would just focus on casual shit. Though I would still give some of them a watch once or twice. One of them, and even something I'm entirely trying to visit just for nostalgia, was the IRL roleplay videos that exist in a weird subcategory where it's pregnant woman pretending they ate someone, which makes it morally questionable because if you actually learn the art of joking, you could probably, and I don't even need to finish that sentence really. You probably already know where I'm going. So no one wants to feel guilty when they're masturbating, even though that's going to happen regardless. That's pretty much the whole point of why anything raunchy exists. And I want to say the only reason I got caught doing this was at my grandma's house, where I brushed past me and my grandma with that shit on my device. Back when YouTube on the Switch worked properly. It probably still does for the regular Switch, just not for the Switch 2. Maybe because of something regarding to do with region lock. But for some reason, YouTube is just kaput on the Switch 2. Not that it matters, because I now have superior ways of viewing YouTube. Like my iPhone, and the fact that I got Google Chrome on the Steam Deck, which I still find relatively surprising. Since the search engine, the Chrome OS on the Steam Deck, which already has Steam OS, and because I want everything I use to be as simplified as possible, now, currently, I have access to everything, but at the time, I did not. And I brushed past my mom and my grandma while I had that shit playing. Yes, I had it fairly close to my body, so no one could really look at it. Though I'm convinced they saw part of it, didn't really know the context, and just thought that it was just regular porn. Took great offense to it, restricted my access to that shit, and by extension just added the parental controls onto the Nintendo Switch, restricting me from anything intended for teens, or for teen plus rating and over. And upon realization that it really does apply for any game with the T for T ESRB rating, I had a little trick up my sleeve. Before you ask, it's not a cement brick. But basically, I pointed out that, what if I'm just playing The Escapist 2? That's another game that's T for teen, and you solely put the age rating on there to counteract YouTube. So, if I made a bullshit promise saying that I was just going to play the games that just happen to have a T for teen rating, I could just go back onto YouTube like nothing happened. And I did. She confronted me, and I tried to lie to her, by saying I was actually watching this. You see, this is my history, only for her to immediately say 4 hours ago. Which, now that I think about it, it probably could have been referring to when the video was uploaded, since I easily could have just seen that around the time that shit got uploaded. And then 4 hours later, I just bring it up as a last-ditch effort to save my ass. So the 4 hours ago easily could have referred to the published time, but I never even thought to consider that. Needless to say, I lost access to porn. It was a sad day for the confused men audience globally. Fast forward to a few years later, well, I finally got the technical enhancements, and I was also significantly older. I got the Steam Deck. I realized you can get Chrome on this thing, which is basically just the average search engine, which by extension, if I convince my mom because I couldn't just download the thing myself, I had to log in using my mom's permission. I convinced her to sign in that shit for me. And at that moment, I went directly into the basement, started using that shit and acting like an evil supervillain or something. Since I had tricked my parents into giving me access to porn, even though she later said she would be aware that I would have such a dominant control over what I viewed. But still ultimately decided to give it to me because she trusted me enough. And from there, that is where I became pretty much the most active in the Vor community. All of this when I was around 15. So I shouldn't even be doing this, realistically. No one at that age should be looking at that shit or actively trying to be a part of those communities, yet I was. I have been banned from some Discords because of my age. Some of them were, a few of them were actually for the fetish stuff, while the majority of them, and I say majority because this didn't actually happen all that often, were just random voice chat servers that PlayStation has a nifty little feature where if you connect your PlayStation to your Discord, you can actually access Discord voice chat channels and just be them. I primarily use this just so I could impede on people's privacy by listening to their wacky conversations while I played various games. Mostly, and predominantly at the time, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. I'm still salty about Gun Interactive just deciding to pull the plug. On it. Especially when it became apparent that they didn't really have any legal issues. They just casually went out and said, we're not going to be adding more shit into this game, it's done, and even though it's only been out for like a few years. What the fuck, man? For the Vor Discords, I rarely have ever engaged with them, mainly because restricted channels, you cannot go there until you are a legal adult. And if you probably couldn't tell, I am a very impatient person, so I turned to alternatives. I thought everyone who joined would have the decency to just be an adult. While they just had a teen who at the time actually did his homework on Vor. He taught himself how the fetish worked, much like how he taught himself to do actually normal things in life. And yeah, he got caught. But I was never going to let that defeatist attitude win me over. Simply because I'm a raid boss of cringe. I continued doing this, and sometime when I was 17, I got into the Twitch game, which was basically last year. When I first started streaming, and I feel like I said this a million times beforehand, but I'm really gonna have to just say this for the sake of the confession. Yeah, I was largely in it for the VorTuber stuff, which were very few and far between. Primarily on Twitch, because that's supposed to be the normie shit when it comes to streaming. But also I can sync that shit up with the PlayStation, and thus, here we are. I still refuse to stream on YouTube because content farms are actually child exploitation in disguise, or just an advanced version of it, or a noose, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I still associate content farms with child exploitation, since you're exploiting the fact that a child will willingly watch anything just to rake in money via ad revenue. It's the jingling keys. And I ended up following a couple of the VodTubers, which I'm pretty sure you could infer on your own. So, took interest, popped into this stream. One of them in particular, which again I will not dead name anyone, got cringe. The cringe followed them around, and it was enough for him to just unfollow the streamer. I didn't really pop in much. It was rather just to stay there so I had something else to listen to while I did my own shit, which is effectively what I do now with the phone and the PlayStation. Sometimes the Steam Deck, or hell, even sometimes the Switch. Multitasking, even though I just had that shit on because I want to hear about people talking about the sweat glands of Freddy Fazbear. Because I find that funny when I'm doing something that is most certainly not funny. Grinding for half an hour. Mostly just for an hour straight. And naturally, much like the aforementioned Discord servers, they pretty much had a ban child on site rule, which is the morally right thing to do. I'm not going to say anything to try and claim it isn't. This is morally the right thing to do. And I'm never going to deny that. That is realistically what streamers should be doing. Not just with not safe for work content, but with streams in general. Just make sure children aren't around that. Even though I was the child that impeded on most of that shit. And one of, again I refuse to dead name, discovered that I was watching them prior to becoming legal. Banned me. Thus starting the entire afternoon of the 5 stages of grief. And the rest I either completely forgot about, slipped on my mind, or just wasn't really all that interesting, or is just history. I am cutting out a lot of things, simply because it relates to something else entirely. Like a subplot to me trying to discover how to live life with a vor fetish. And I'm not going to talk about all of the subgenres here. That's just never going to happen, regardless of how much you entertain the idea. But I can discuss one of the subplots. Middle school. The vor interest peaked when I was like in 4th grade or some shit. Persisted in grade 5. Then we got into grade 6. middle school, COVID was still a thing. I have a very select few individuals that I would actually consider friends. Almost all of them female too. Just bring in the fact that I may or may not actually be straight. I definitely was straight at the time, but now I ultimately decided variety. I want to double my chances of getting laid. But basically, during that time, and around that time, I would try to live with the void interest while also subtly trying to sneak in some peeks. I didn't really know how masturbation worked at the time, so, and God forbid I become a school beater. And I can proudly say with my hand in the air that I never beat my meat in school, not even once. One of the teachers discovered that shit, and it basically started a torrential downpour that resulted in them realizing, and me realizing, that they have absolutely no fucking clue how to deal with people like me. I even apparently heard a story, and this took place years ago, so I'm absolutely misremembering some shit, but apparently a child was having such a mental breakdown, a tantrum essentially, and the teachers sincerely did not know how to deal with it. So at one point, they tried to fit him inside of a fucking suitcase. Again, I might be misremembering that, and that is absolutely exaggerated, but yes, apparently that happened. The school was not happy with me having this. And I'm just gonna say it now. I wanted some physical contact. Unfollow me right now. With the heavier females of the school staff. None of that shit actually succeeded. Principal got involved and said in the nicest way possible, and in the nicest way I mean in a way that mentally destroyed me, that none of them are interested. I was 1000% in a tough spot. Who the hell wouldn't be? So, naturally, as a response, and I may or may not have alluded to this before, probably not on here, but definitely before, I hid in my gym locker for 2 whole school periods. By the time I actively decided, maybe I should just leave and do the other stuff. The size of a locker is just barely tall enough for me to just stand up in there, and it's kind of uncomfortable. No one really discovered me, and it didn't really seem like anyone was gonna discover me. In fact, if possible, I probably could have been there for an entire fucking day. So, I ultimately decided to let myself out, try to see what time it was, go to the classroom appropriate for that time, and also, one thing that I noticed immediately is that as I was walking through the halls and some of the adults were walking past, they ever just casually greeted me or treated like I didn't exist. Like, my existence is so casual, they don't really warrant any kind of notification. The only people that really did notice that I was gone were the few people that I associated myself with. Not much really happened in that day particular, but at the end of the day, when my mom picked me up, and this is in a state where me and things between my mom were a bit strained, and when I casually told her about what I did and how they responded, she was quiet for the majority of the drive. Actively going out and saying she was heartbroken, disappointed at the school. I may or may not have tried to pull the hiding stunt again, primarily as a way to mentally distance myself. And also one of the hiding spots was apparently a male restroom and the staff office. And when one of the teachers, a woman, came in, I tried to throw out accusations that she was a sexual predator. There was one woman in particular that I did not like, and I was convinced she shares the same hatred for me. All because one of the days when I was just regularly in a little support room that I'm shit at explaining things. When she was going through a rough time, I asked her if she was okay. She never said anything to this, left the next day later where I actively needed her support. She just wasn't there. Her room was locked off, and I sincerely needed the help. And that made me realize, somehow, some way, she took offense to a kid asking if she was okay. We were both convinced that we hated each other, mainly because we did. It was a horrible back and forth. I have mentioned this shit to my mom several times. We have needed a couple of parent-teacher conferences just to discuss the issue. Hell, even a minor court, which was basically just, hey kids, don't do bad things. Also, we steal people's phones like it's none of their business. Even though I never got my phone until I was 16. And it basically became an inside joke where I constantly ask, hey, when do I get a phone? The court side plot was basically a legal requirement because of how often I really tried to just isolate myself from pretty much everyone. Near the end of this in-person middle school stuff, which I should mention, I'm just gonna spoil it now. All of this is why I switched to online schooling. I got a little bit too confident about my fetish, and then just casually, softly, okay, I know you accidentally shot this, but I actually have a lot more. If you could just see this, I don't know why I actually thought that. But it made me feel better. So, I'm an asshole for thinking like that. and I will take full accountability. I still hate myself. At least I kinda know the right words for it. Basically became where school was horrible. The only reason I tried to tell myself that it was good was because of the few people that I was around. And that still holds up. I will not dead name anyone, but I do miss them. I'm pretty sure they were the best few people that did wonders for my mental health. And now that I think about it, there is a moral beyond everything that I've said, mentioned. My past of trying to break into adult-only content. It feels somewhat nice to get all of this off my chest. But if there truly is a moral to the story here, and that is, if you're abusive and or morally bankrupt, you should only associate yourself with people who either look past or ignore the red flags. Find your target audience. If you put on a mask for people and they like it, they will like you, specifically because of the mask. You don't have to change yourself for anyone. But if that person is morally questionable, with a history of terrible things that they're not proud of, and they kind of contribute to them having a bit of a harsh life going forward, if you're someone who is morally bankrupt, associate yourself with people who are more than willing to look past your flaws and red flags. The people you spend the most amount of time with reflect your overall character, and for the other people, just accepting the fact that you're deeply, horrifically, but still stick around. I understand if someone probably won't want to be affiliated with them, but realistically, those are probably going to be your only friends in life. The people who ignore your red flags and just try to like you for who you are. And there is kind of a happy ending to the in-person middle school subplot, because since online schooling, I am the happiest motherfucker alive. Bro is just a bundle of joy since he started doing shit from the screen again. I still miss my old friends, but I am a horrible person to give advice to people, but I do mean that, by the way. There's no real way I'm entertaining, and there's no real way I can actually support people through tough times. I just make videos. Mostly reposts of shit I found on Discord. But for anyone out there who are in a tough spot and feel like they're in a rough situation, for anyone who has been there, so have I. So have John the Goat, my brother, whenever he's gonna come on here one of these days. I can't convince them to do a DBD stream, but my point is, we've all gone through rough times, and things get better. They really do. So if you're in a tough position in life, just remember that it does get better. It really does. Policies may be different. But we're all trying to win the same race here. So don't act like that road, whether to hell or heaven, isn't as close as it is. I hate to say it, but you know, things are not always going to be like this forever. I'm just speaking from the heart at this point. And it's effective because not only is my throat dry, I also need the piss break. I've spent almost an hour just sitting here, just talking about my personal issues. Content creators, and they actually have to make content. That's absolutely still applicable here. There's a non-0% chance that content creators specifically go through more mental issues. Though then again, it's entirely possible that everyone goes through the same issues and I'm just losing my shit. There are some days where I wake up thinking if I'm actually a piece of shit. I've lied about so much. But good, bad, or indifferent, I'm still standing. I'm not suicidal in the slightest. And I'm locked into this. I feel like playing exclusively Survivor, so we're gonna play exclusively Survivor. Even though the play while you wait thing not only works, is present, and it's actually pretty good. I've come to accept that this is a bad perk loadout, solely based on the idea that 2 of Sable's perks reveal the killer's aura for a short amount of time. Oh, so that's just whenever? Anyways. I've seen some Twitter posts floating around revealing AFK survivors who sincerely queue up just to do absolutely nothing. You don't get a whole lot of Michonne players. Then again, we did get Maggie, and she's a legendary for Michonne. What I'm saying is, you're an uncommon survivor with a pretty cool portrait that shares a similar shading to Daryl's. We only have like 5 other survivors, including legendaries, that came out after that and would realistically have similar shading. Oddly enough, I'm solely referring to the 2026 survivors that we got. I left V out of the conversation simply because she doesn't appear to have this shading. Also, hate to break the magician's code, but chat messages are read out by a TTS voice, and so in the free it was not 3 minutes, but basically after the first match I had I typed out a message that was basically along the lines of, how come you're not saying anything? Why are you just so sad all of a sudden? What the hell is wrong with you? This isn't your usual small Kyle bullshit. Why aren't you saying anything? You can't start up a live stream and then just expect your gameplay, your very epic gameplay, to just carry everything you do. You need to provide commentary, and it has to be actual commentary. Shit. Gaming alone isn't going to cut it, and I'd like to consider myself an authentic enough streamer. I like to think I'm authentic. I don't have a reason to lie to you guys. Why the hell else did I come so clean about a lot of things for half an hour straight? Simply because I felt like it. Bottled up emotions should never remain bottled up. Mainly because I'm a man, someone who cannot capitalize off of keeping emotions concealed. Also, I'm only just realizing this now. Compared to specifically in the context of the tome images that we got from Michaela, from Sable, Michaela, and Julian. Julian not a new Sable person because, hey, originally it was me and it was just me and Michaela. Who is this Sable person? And why do I have a theory that some people thought that this person was supposed to retcon my entire existence? But we do have confirmation that all three of them existed simultaneously, as Michaela's attempt to connect two of her friends together. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. Pretty bad. It can possibly work for the 20 seconds of seeing the killer's orb, and I feel like with the ability to freely unhook yourself in the basement on first hook. That's probably just a silver lining to being hooked in the basement to begin with. Damn. Sorry, bro. All three of Sable's perks empower her when she's in the basement. Make your jokes now. You scared the shit. Be gone. He was thirsty. I didn't finish medical repairs. Apparently Dracula is the best killer in 2v8. We're also getting our indigenous survivor in a couple of days. I can still see your orb. So apparently, another piece of licensing issues. Licensing holders are a bit cautious about having their license be a part of a game that already has another license. This mainly applies with 2v8, but I do feel like it correlation to just DBD as a whole. You can understand why you don't want two killers from different IPs working together, since that's not how the license holders envisioned it. But there's also the survivors. DBD is constantly evolving, 2 is even confirmed to not be coming. Instead, the intention is to continue DBD and have it go on for preferably as long as humanly possible. We're too deep to go back now. We're too deep into this shit. So that's pretty much behavior stance on that. We're gonna keep this game going for as long as possible. Which means new characters we're going to have. And new additions mean new licensed characters that the original license holders probably did not anticipate to join the other licensed characters. I'm gonna do a few mores with the now removed Laurie Strode just to show what they would probably be nervous about. Also, for some reason, female survivors just close their eyes actively. Yes, it's cool and the fan service is off the charts, but in reality the license holders probably aren't too fond of this kind of shit. A few more just to convey my way of thinking. Goodbye, YouTube. That was Jason's actual Moi, by the way. Also, the fire sounds significantly louder and more aggressive in the live version. It wasn't like that in the PTB. I can know because I played the PTB.
Let's finish this.
So yeah. License holders have to not only consider if DBD is the game that they want to represent their world, but also if they want their characters to be associated with the other licensed characters that are part of that game. I already have Laurie selected, so I might as well keep playing as her. The other people I'm with are gonna be going wild. No doubt. It's so fucking hot in my room that I actively have a fan blaring at me. To the point where it's drying up my tears and it's actually starting to hurt. So what if we just install an entire goddamn air conditioner unit? I'm trying to use admin commands to spawn TAs because my left eye in particular does not like the fan attention. I'm trying to moisturize it. He could be right there. He is right there. Oh my god. I swear to God, it's like the killer is told if the survivor has deliverance. It's like the killer is told which survivor has deliverance. I have never successfully gotten the fucking decisive strike. Everything and anything is a conspicuous action, which will cancel that shit, which means I gotta walk around doing nothing. This is not what the Lord died for. We'll even get this shit to work on them. Who is this absolute blue clown on my screen? I am not living this. That's bad. Because now he can just kill us. If someone squints, they can confuse you as the standard Meg. You can delay object of obsession by hiding in lockers. Naturally. Thank you. However, Miss Wheeler was already burnt to a crisp. I'm fucked. Bruh. Another one more, but it was framed like Stranger Things. That's not a spoiler, that's just how some of the deaths in the show are framed. They're censored by the environment. Before I continue, I have to this out. Death Forsaken. Easily the worst Roblox game to ever exist. It's probably one of the main reasons as to why I'm not even actively playing Roblox. I'm probably already made it known that I can't really put money into Roblox out in good faith. Mainly because shit like Forsaken exists, plus everything that I really don't need to elaborate on. So one of the cosmetics having Forsaken in the title, since a lot of people flocked to Forsaken because they did Jason way earlier, and from what I can only assume, way shittier. The fact that it was sort of by proxy referenced in DBD when he finally came out for the 10-year anniversary, I can't help but feel like that's either intentional or the biggest coincidence of all time. Again, I just had to bring that up. Yui Kimura, I decided to replace the pink coloring with this green, teal, fuck. Also, after accidentally reading the number of the 2-time authenticator quickly, her brain was rerouted to be sexually attracted to motorcycles. Permanently. I mean, there's my sexual attraction to morbidly obese women, but sexual attraction to motorcycles. Damn. The main theme of this cosmetic is supposed to be something she would wear at home. The pants, like, the lower body kind of looks like pajama pants. I don't feel like putting any more money into this. My childhood changed my future for the worst. I feel like I'm one of few people who can proudly say that. There's only one thing around here that gets consistent results, and that is my relentless ability to fuck everything up. Oh shit, it's Vommy Mommy. At least I don't have any hooks centered around healing. Rude. Oh shit. Background player. Plus sexual attraction to motor. This is an ancient Babylonian plague, and the human body is immediately broken by it. The modern human body is not equipped to handle this. So we need a fountain. Whatever you say. Oh, it also takes away. It also gives you your health state back. Healing perks really are obsolete. Can the sick be cleared up, please? There you go. Flocko again. You didn't even hit it. That fountain is not normal. First time anyone is hooked. It's already pretty late into the match. That Ashby a bit bouncy. How dare you? Run. If you say so. I'ma kill the sickness. Well, that means everyone else, you gotta save them. I'm not going back there. I'm gonna reset this pallet because I feel like it. There you go. I'm out here. My lucky break is still on cooldown. Oh shit! Oh, that hurts me now. Fog. Alright, fine, fuck you. The red vomit is back. That would have been so impressive. I need another chest. I'm eyeing up the tab. Kill me. The Chinese girl is dead. Oh, she vomited on this. At least I can get a free heal. Calm the fuck down. Just the natural sounds that humans make. You're just gonna vomit in the fountain. How crude of you. Oh shit. It looked like there was a beam of light being casted wherever I was facing. Oddly specific, I know. Anyways, I got my ability. I need to get the fuck out of here. So it's not a cooldown, and it regains progress by healing. Ah, fuck you. Fish monkey. I'm up as fuck here. It's like I'm avoiding a flamethrower. Is it not like... Look at this. Fuck you. You know, fuck you. Value and effort will probably cook them. Keep playing hardball. Worse yet, my moment of glory didn't pop, which means we are fucked. Useless. I think I popped my thigh. If that's even possible. Hey, what the fuck, man? You know, I'm just gonna get full heal. Purify. It not only affects the illness, it not only takes away the illness, but also any and all injuries you have. Neat. So that was 99%ed for how long? What a waste of anxiety. Somehow that didn't affect me. Not complaining though. Not gonna fuck around and find out. said it before and I refuse to say it again. She can spray that shit around. Aw, we have to get it in like one more day. Wow. There ain't enough hours for the day. Oh yeah, I am effectively done, so... Am I supposed to raid someone else's channel? Should I raid someone else's stream? Channel? Okay. Nothing, it's stupid.